Good morning, Tomlin Middle School art classes. Hope you had a great weekend. It was really fun seeing a lot of you guys during our Zoom chat last Friday for our lunch doodle sessions. I'm hoping to do those every Friday, as a lot of my students have recommended to have them. They said they had a lot of fun. Today, I'm going to be doing a historical lecture on all of your different types of art projects. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, ugh, art, history, gross. But think of it as a way to provide different visual points for your projects. Now, each genre of art, as well as each time frame of artistry, provides a different way in which your art could be created. We'll go over a lot of those different ways in the historical session that I have provided soon. So hold your seats. We got a fun class today. I also want to say thank you to Reagan for providing some of my inspirational imagery for my journal posts. It's always good to see students involving themselves in the classes like that. Please, if you have anything to contribute as far as inspirational images or hand-drawn pictures or anything like that that you want me to share, just send them to me in my direct message through Edsby or my personal email, and I'll be sure to add them into all of the different journal entries that we do. So thank you, Reagan. Appreciate it. Good morning, students, and thank you for joining me here in my historical library. I have my fire roaring next to me here. Today we're going to be talking about perspective. Now, perspective basically has one main person who kind of rediscovered how perspective was created, essentially. Now, he took this main idea of how we take things that we see at a distance and mathematically conform them into a way that we can then paint them or draw them. Now, let me talk to you about one of these very well-known people by the name of Filippo Botticelli. He rediscovered the laws of perspective. He demonstrated a mathematical approach that proved how form and space shrink in size according to their location and distance from the eye. Now, in Botticelli's hometown of Florence, Italy, there's a large church by the name of the Santa Maria del Fiore. And this church, originally, as it was being built, the original architect had died. And so they had an unfinished church. So what they did is they created a contest. The people of the city, as well as the politicians that were there, created this contest that allowed everybody to participate. Now, Filippo Botticelli, he was not really adored by many people. I guess he was this angry old man that nobody really liked. However, him and Donatello went to the Pantheon, and what they did is they measured the crap out of this building to try to figure out exactly how it was built. Because up until that point, and until currently, it is the largest non-reinforced concrete dome ever created. Now, he came back with all these measurements and ideas and concepts, and he said, I've got it. I'm your guy. You're going to hire me as a head builder, or that's the only option you got. And because Florence didn't really like him, they said, no, we don't want you to do it. But they crumbled over pressure, and they ended up calling him up and saying, well, you know, ancient Renaissance calling him. They sent a pigeon probably. But they got him, and they got him back, and they decided that he was going to build it. Now, between him and Donatello, with all these different measurements that they made, he came up with this master plan to put it together, which is a really cool idea, because all the way up until that point, all the other buildings throughout Europe, the sides of the buildings were held up by what's called flying buttresses, which is a really cool word. But however, in Florence, they were not allowed. I don't know why, but they just weren't allowed. So, he created the dome that they have now, which is on top of the Santa Maria del Fiore. He also came up with a lot of other ideas that involve architecture and ingenuity. For example, he created the sky crane, which allows people to bring bricks to the top of the building in extremely detailed and precise ways. He also invented the reverse gear, which you can find on your bicycle or in a car. And he came up with what we're talking about mostly today, which is called linear perspective. Now, about another 100 years later, in 1435, a man by the name of Leon Alberti discovered the same theory, essentially. It's a rediscovery. However, he documented this in a book that he called the Della Pictura on painting, which is, he related it to mathematics as a common ground of art and science. Now, the discovery had an enormous impact on European artists and still used by artists today, as well as designers and architects today. Now, artists throughout history have devised mechanisms to aid the recording of reality of the three-dimensional world. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most famous artists, who was also influenced by Alberti, had his paintings done in a way to reveal the world as it actually appeared. Now, he invented a machine called the perspectograph. The perspectograph was comprised of a pane of glass, and it fit inside of a frame, in which it also held a small viewing slot. So the artist would look through the small viewing slot through the pane of glass, which had a grid on it. And what that allowed them to do is take a three-dimensional space and compress it into a two-dimensional plane. Now, the outline served as a rough sketch for the final and the well-defined painting. Now, conversely, the simple understanding of concept and theories is an essential aspect of the practice of drawing and painting from direct observation. Meaning, it's really difficult to paint or draw 3D items just by looking at them. So they created these different mechanisms to make it easier for them. However, throughout that process, we discovered different key elements that help us take three-dimensional space and compress it into two-dimensional space. Some of those things are, for example, vanishing point, which is a spot where objects disappear off into space. Now, converging lines is another thing. Those are the different lines that converge together, helping create a perspective angle towards the vanishing point. The horizon line, which is another key element, is the line at which the sky meets the earth. Before, one-point perspective artists had to just guess where all these lines were and would go there in their drawings to just kind of guess. Now, these tend to look skewed and awkward, like these pictures I'm going to show you soon. However, I just want to let you know that because this is a historical lecture, I'm just kind of pointing out some of the key elements of the historical people, but coming up next Thursday, I will tell you exactly how all these different key elements come together in a demo. But first, check out these two different works of art that kind of skew the perspective before all of these points or elements were really instilled in art. Alright guys, thank you very much for coming into my historical library. I appreciate you watching this video. I hope this was very informative for you guys. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday, where I'm going to give you a demo on exactly how to make your very own one-point perspective drawing over the weekend. Thank you very much for watching again, and I can't wait to see you soon. Abstract. No. Actually, sorry. Rewind. Sorry, cut. Landscape painting is the deception of. I'm sorry. Start over. Ephemeral art. Now, ephemeral.
Oh.
Interruptions. Fire rolling here, or roaring here, or rolling with a roar, or